The power of expression. To create something is to become a cause instead of an effect, to be a doer and not just an observer. Creativity is one of the hallmarks of what defines us as human beings. It's how we've created our world. It's incredible to fathom that many of the things we experience, whether it's music, literature, movies, our phones, or the internet, all of these things were born out of a creative act from some person or group of people. They began as ideas in the mind, which then reached expression in this reality through the creative act. Even abstract concepts of our world, such as our culture, politics, philosophies, religions, and social norms, only exist because we actively create them. At large, it's mankind's imagination and its creative expression that has made the world as we know it. This wonderful ability that we have to create the new and unique is what separates us most out of the rest of the beings of nature. For individuals like you and me, creativity means giving form to the internal world of our imagination. Your work is a part of your mind pushed outwards for all who behold it to see. It is the means through which you can share ideas, beliefs, visions, and inspirations. You can use your creative expressions to expose your perspectives of life and how you interpret beauty. You can communicate a powerful message to the world, or simply create for the fun of it without any specific meaning. There's also the effects of what creativity can do to us internally. An aspect of expressing yourself is that it is by far the most powerful and elaborate form of emotional catharsis. You can let out those clogged emotions through the singing, the paintbrush, or the words in the page. This provides not only a relief from emotional buildup, but also a mirror for deeper self-reflection. The more you express yourself, the more you get to know yourself. You may discover in your expressions that there are aspects of yourself that before were unnoticed, and some of these aspects may well be hidden gifts. Yet, from my observation, many of us scarcely take the leap of expressing ourselves creatively. I see, and to some extent I'm guilty of this myself, that many consume and never create. In these modern times, we may aspire to express ourselves, but with so many things to consume, such as movies, series, music, and social media at our fingertips, it's easy to put it off. Some of these things may provide a powerful inspiration to create something, but unless we act on that inspiration, it is useless. Not only that, but we may doubt ourselves, assuming we have no ability before even trying. We may trap ourselves in a constant train of self-criticism, hindering us from becoming carefree enough to allow creativity to flow. It may also be that our apathy and inability to focus for long periods may make us leave what we started unfinished. No matter the reasons, it's clear that the brisk pace of our lives, the abounding sources of entertainment and distraction, and our own mental blockages can stop us from beginning a path of self-expression. There's really only one thing that pushes a person towards self-expression, and that is his reasons why he wants to do so. Almost every person holds ideas, images, and visions in their mind of something they wish the world to see or experience. For example, a man walking down a street might see an empty lot and immediately create a fantasy in his mind of a lush park with trees and a pond where this empty lot is. It might be for a brief moment, but nevertheless, the man created in his mind an idea that had the desire of being expressed out in the world. I'm sure everyone has these types of inspirations bubble up in our minds multiple times a day, yet most go unheard. They simply don't generate enough motivation and fill our minds long enough to provoke the action of expressing it. They come as fast as they go. However, some ideas have enough power to take over the mind long enough to compel it to express them creatively. This is true of the artist, who often claims that he feels a need to express himself constantly, if only to have peace of mind. His imaginal activity creates such a strong motivation for expression that he finds it necessary to give it form. You can think of it like a dam holding back a river which, if the river becomes strong enough, will overflow it and cascade outwards. It's an overpowering inspiration that takes over and compels action. No matter what the creative act is, this is the why of all artistic motivation. The best ideas are the ones that move us into action. Their meaning is what the artist wishes to convey, and this inner meaning is the essence of self expression. With the meaning at hand, whatever words, verses, melodies, tones, and colors that are necessary will be used by the artist to give it form. For example, in his famous biblical painting, The Creation of Adam, Michelangelo most definitely commenced working on the painting with the meaning of God's creation of man as his own divine image in his mind. The work always begins in the meaning, for it is the meaning that is attempted to be brought to life in the canvas, song, or poem. Meanings can be deeply personal, such as a song or poem that illustrates a specific experience in the artist's life and the emotions associated with it. In this form, the work is mostly intended to take you into the artist's shoes and make you understand his personal life. Meaning can also be directed impersonally towards the world. It could be a spiritual, philosophical, political, or social vision that the artist holds for the world and wants to communicate. Many works of art profoundly illustrate the conflicts and circumstances of their times in a way that encourages self reflection and change for the world. They can present a prophetic criticism to the world, reminding us to remain true of our sense of humanity. The meaning can also simply reflect the banal beauty, struggles, and lessons that are common to life. Whatever it may be, meaning is the source of the impulse for self expression. The journey of self expression is one that can take the artist to the depths of himself and even transcend himself. By definition, it implies to create something new that comes from the meaning within ourselves and offer it to the world to see. This not only takes creativity, but also courage. We have to take a leap of faith of stepping out of our ordinary habitual ways of being and expose ourselves. Yet the power, growth, and reward that is possible from taking this leap is all the worthwhile. When you take it, you're finally giving a purpose to your imagination by expressing the contents that dominate you the most. You probe your own inner world of meaning and extract those ideas that are worth giving form. In this process, you discover that the imagination is a vast dimension of ideas that are only limited by our ability to actually use them. The more you express yourself, the more you open up the door of imagination and thus have deeper and more insightful ideas and visions. The fact that if we don't ever express ourselves, then the meaning of our imagination will die with us, never to be witnessed by any others, gives us even more motivation to do so. Death, in my opinion, is the biggest source of motivation. To calmly and constructively reflect on our own mortality may give us an enduring reason to take action. Whether we're spending it developing our creative power and the skills to express ourselves, or just passively putting it off, the clock is ticking and we're getting older. If we never take action, we may lose our opportunity to express and make something of ourselves. Our ideas, hopes, visions, and insights will die when we die, unless we begin our creative journey now while we can. No true artist wants this for themselves, so it's our responsibility to begin this incredible process of making our inner world visible. It would not only be our loss for our aspirations to die with us, but also a potential loss for the whole world. Artists, writers, philosophers, and all creative people are participating in arguably the most important duty of mankind, the renewing of the world. Almost anyone can understand that to meet the future and advance as a society requires new ideas, ways of thinking, and being. If our culture and society is not continually redefining itself to more consciously and intelligently operate, then it is bound to fail the new challenges that the future brings. We all know examples of these challenges, things like inequality, fascism, hate, social unrest, mental illness, climate change, and our disconnection with nature, just to name a few. All of these modern threats require novel approaches, and it is precisely the well of ideas, that is our imagination, that their solutions may be found. The artist, by venturing into his own imagination and expressing what he finds there to have purpose and utility, becomes a source of new solutions that the world can embody. Visionary art, for example, is the type of art that attempts to make inner truths visible and proposes the transcendence of our old ways and limitations. In this context, the artist plays the vital role of creating a culture that more perfectly embodies what is true, what is good, and what is beautiful. As the philosopher Terence McKenna brilliantly said, the artist's task is to save the soul of mankind, and anything less is a dithering while Rome burns. Because of the artist, who are self selected, for being able to journey into the other, if the artist cannot find the way, then the way cannot be found. The role of art is to make the inner world of imagination visible, and our only true source of meaning and purpose comes from this world. Art, as a reflection of this inner world, has been the template from which all the myths, stories, religions, and ideologies that have shaped human history can be expressed. All works of art not only embody the personal vision of their creator, but also a piece of our collective mind. The artist exposes the soul in his work to open the eyes of others and encourage them to do the same. Essentially, each work of art is a window through which we can see more deeply into our human nature and the forces that shape it. So, for you, the individual, the power of self expression lies in making of yourself a medium through which the soul can be revealed. Whatever form of art you may choose, it will be a creation that reflects the uniqueness of your own self. You can be certain that in your own uniqueness lies perceptions that will add value and beauty to the world, if only you dig deep enough. No matter how big or small your undertaking is, you will be adding your bit in the creation of a new world and culture. Self expression also has the unique quality that it is a purpose that you give yourself from yourself and not a purpose that comes externally. This can provide a fulfilling satisfaction with who you are that those that don't express themselves may never experience. You may become more aware of who you truly are, and this naturally leads to greater peace and happiness. Yet, all of these things only happen if you start and persist, and through trial and error, find the best way to express yourself. You must begin with the ability you now have and develop it through persistent practice and learning. As you do this, you must also take the time to look within yourself so you can begin to pick out the inner truths that you wish to express. By combining a developing artistic skill with an inspired imagination, your path towards self expression can only grow. Suspend all judgment and superstitions about the outcome and simply begin to create something out of yourself. Don't overthink it. Let yourself loose, knowing that you and every other human being has an infinite potential to convey beauty and meaning. It all starts with picking up the paintbrush or the pen and letting imagination run through it.